Here today to announce that the Justice Department has secured felony guilty pleas from the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, Binance.
Actually, it's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Largest virtual.
Binance.
Binance. And let me be clear. It's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Council has discussed crypto regulations and legislations at length, and we have come to the conclusion that instead of regulating, we are going to ape a fat bag each into laptop and pump it to over $1,300,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 market cap. Let's fucking go, crackheads.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Crypto Morning Coffee. I got my coffee locked and loaded, ready to go, because we have to talk about Bitcoin's last bad week, which is this week, right? Probably maybe the last one or two, but it doesn't really matter because we are going to have very good times after that, and we have to talk about what is going on basically tomorrow and the next 1 or 2 days that still influences the price, magnetizing it to the downside. But then also we have to talk a little bit what that means for the cycle. We're going to have a very short stream today, but still fully packed with content, so make sure to stay all the way through here also for a quick look at altcoins and the markets. Stay tuned. So, good morning to each and every one of you. And here we can already see why it's so important to wait for a confirmation before loading up on any trade or so, right? Because on Friday we did say, hey, it looks pretty good for a breakout when this candle was up here, which is this candle, right? This is Friday, this Saturday, Sunday, and this today, right? On the Bitcoin chart. And we do see that this candle completely got dragged during the day because, I mean, it was Friday morning, so Crypto Morning Coffee, right? We were outside of this expecting that this might close up here with this inverse head and shoulders pattern. And it did not, right? So the candle close was here. So this is why we need to be always patient and wait for the close, for the confirmation, for the retest, before we see anything is granted. So right now, basically invalidated this pattern. Instead, we do have a rejection here, and we are on our way, I don't know exactly where, but maybe back testing this support-ish line or something like that, which is sitting at 112,000. So this could be happening. Bottom line is there's something happening that is letting the market go the other direction. And I think it's this. It's the Fed Chair Powell speech that is coming tomorrow, right? And let's see it here a little bit better, the breakdown. We do have the Powell speech and service and manufacturing coming. So not only was there a rate cut last week, but he's also going to speak again. We do have on Thursday US GDP Q2 official numbers and initial jobless claims. So I think here is really the fire is in Tuesday, Thursday, right? And depending on what Powell says already on Tuesday, because he probably knows this anyways, right? What's coming out on Thursday. We are going to see the market react, right? And maybe this is the preparation that we're seeing right now for a positive market reaction here, going the exact other way, liquidating a lot of longs once again before we are moving higher. The bull market support band sits at 111,200 111,300 right now, and I do not expect the price go any lower than that, other than maybe a daily wick or so, like we had it here, right? So here we see the bull market support band. So I think that would be the absolute downside for the week. We do anticipate that the next quarter is going to be the best quarter, as on average, this next quarter is the best quarter in history. We see the average of the quarters is Q1 50%, Q2 for Bitcoin, right? Q2 27%, Q3 6% only on average, and then Q4 85%. Of course, the median is probably here the relevant thing, which is more like 50%, because we do have this outlier here of 479%. So and 168, that's fine, right? These are fine, but this one here never repeated in history, 400% in 2013. So we do see median quarter Q4 is by far the best quarter, and I mean, this is like average median. I mean, you can have a society where everyone earns $1,000 per month, and then you can have a guy that earns $1 billion per month. If you do the average of the income of the population, it gives the false idea that everyone earns like in a super big bracket, whereas in fact, if you would do the median income, you would get close to this 1,000, right? So hence we need this number. But Q4, bottom line is, last year Q4 was on that median, right? 50%. 2023 it was also there. So here we see, for example, 3 years in a row. Here we see 2 years and a bad year in a row. So let's see how it ends. It may not even matter how it really ends here as a number, but what it matters is what it does in the first 2 months of that Q4, right? So looks bullish for Q4, but let's see, right? So let's keep in mind that tomorrow and Thursday there are bigger numbers coming in. Now, it's interesting to read a little bit more here regarding potentially prolonged cycle. The business cycle has been held back because rates are still too high. Wall Street has done well because liquidity has been rising. That is exactly why we stayed bullish after calling the cycle lows back in Q4 2022. Props and congrats. But by the way, I also did in Q1 2023, right? So that this is it here on the channel. But Main Street is ISM, and the ISM is earnings. That is why PE ratios look expensive right now. The P is being driven by debasement, liquidity, while the E tracks GDP. Multiple expansions without a rise in E is fine as long as earnings eventually play catch up. The rally of the Q4 2022 lows front-loaded valuations that put the burden on 2025-26 to deliver the earnings growth to justify the 23 and 24 valuation premium baked into equities. The good news, earnings revisions are booming. Our view is that the business cycle isn't dead. That's the story for 2030 and beyond. For now, it's simply delayed. Bottom line, Main Street to benefit, for earnings to keep trending higher, and for future PE expansion to play out, rates need to come down, period. Okay, so that is it. For that to happen, rates need to come down. The rates are coming down since last week, basically, where cutting has started. So we need to see, based on the numbers, that the rates are continuing to come down, right? And right now it looks like it. If we're looking at CME Group, for example, it looks like it. We do have a projection for a cut in October with a 91.9% chance end of October cut, whereas there is a 8.1% chance still left over for us to pause again, right? And then we do see also very high likelihood for a third cut in December. But let's see how it plays out. So that based on that, then Pi cycle top indicator nowhere near flashing again, right? And even we're creeping around this lower band all the time. So we're really lacking, as you can see here, this exuberant oscillator, right? So or better, the oscillator flashing that it's low, right? So at the top, this orange bar, it did not appear, is when basically the Pi cycle oscillator, which is the purple one, goes empty. Yeah, so not appearing anymore. That's whenever the 111 day SMA and the 350 cross, exactly marking the top in most of the cases. We do see it here, 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 and here we didn't see it. So arguably we are still missing a steep run up in this cycle. We don't have it. So where is it? What will fuel it, right? Big questions. I wanted to highlight one thing about which I found interesting here from CryptoSaras, is that Coinbase is sitting on a 350 billion Bitcoin thunderbolt, over 3 million Bitcoin in custody. That's 14% of the maximum supply, a massive vote of confidence from institutions. But there's a risk one company holds more Bitcoin than most nations, individuals, and corporations combined. Bullish for adoption, but is this the Bitcoin future we want, or just a spark of the next wave of decentralization? And we do see why. I mean, Coinbase is acting as the custodian. They have successfully placed themselves as the custodian for all the ETFs in the US, which is like the BlackRock ETF with almost 800,000 BTC, the Grayscale, the Bitwise, the Wisdom Tree, and so on, right? Coinbase is custodying this for them, right? Then supplying CEXs, Bitwavo, CoinSquare, Newton, and so on. They are holding it as custodian for companies like Tesla, SpaceX, Sequence, and so on. They are holding it for OTC desks. Yeah, they are hosting OTC desks, 101,000 BTC total. For individuals, another 26,000 BTC. For miners, there is CleanSpark, Bitfarms, American Bitcoin. I mean, the positive news is that the Marathon and so on, they are not appearing here. But still, I mean, one custodian, 14% of the entire Bitcoin supply. That's massive. And potentially it could be a risk, right? So just to make you aware of that, basically that situation, it's existing. And yeah, the question is so if I see this, the only thought that I have is I need more, right? I need more Bitcoin for me or in my wallet. But yeah, that's basically that. And there is more is coming. More is coming because we are going to see more institutions and so on. But obviously, it's Coinbase itself saying more is coming. More is coming into Coinbase probably also. Let's see here. Let's listen to Ben Armstrong here. Brian Armstrong. Ben Armstrong is BitBoy Crypto or so. There we go.
We also saw the United States of America now has a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So if the United States government is going to begin holding Bitcoin, I think that's going to be a massive driver of demand, and the rest of the G20 countries will probably follow suit. And then the last thing I'd say is that we saw recently the launch of the Bitcoin ETFs by a number of different firms, and Coinbase is actually powering 80% of the custody for those that are out there. But we're seeing a ton of institutional money continue to flow into Bitcoin now that these ETFs are live. So there's a lot of positive tailwinds for Bitcoin. And I think that there's never going to be more than 21 million Bitcoin ever made in the world. And lots of pools of capital still haven't gotten access to it. So that tells me this thing has a long way to run. We also saw
There we go, right? Basically the expectation that other G20 countries are following suit. And by the way, like we already see it. Norway has already $1.1 billion in MicroStrategy in its $2 trillion world's sovereign wealth fund, and they are getting the exposure via MicroStrategy, right? It's interesting because MicroStrategy's business model basically is to offer that vehicle to nations, right? So the risk for a strategy to go bankrupt is, I think, way lower in that sense than, for example, other companies that are trying to drive the same business model. But here we see it, right? They are holding almost 1.2 billion US dollars in MicroStrategy stock, basically thereby getting exposure to Bitcoin, right? So that is good. By the way, guys, may I ask you quickly to smash up the like button? You saw in the last live streams how important that is to get the likes in. If you think that the stream is worth watching, you got value, or you're just having fun, then make sure to smash up the like button right now. Hit the likes, and thanks for hitting the like for everyone who did right now. Lex Luthor speaking about BTC. Yes. Let's quickly check out what this drawdown made with Total 2, because it's a whole different story to look at Total 2 than to look at Bitcoin, where Bitcoin clearly failed our inverse head and shoulders pattern here and did not confirm. We do have a whole nother picture on Total 2 where we complete the retest, where remember when we said here, hey, maybe that was it, maybe that was the retest. It was apparently not. There is a full-blown retest on top of this overhead resistance here of this mega cup and handle pattern, as you can see here. Of course, we want this to be successful, and there is still basically 6 days and 20 hours for this candle. So don't say, Patient Hodler did say this retest complete. It's not. We don't have the candle close yet. A daily close on this is already going to be really, really nice. Tomorrow we will see if we get some more action here out of that when Powell speaks. But overall, I mean, if we close this like this, or we even turn this into a green candle and have the wick as testament of our retest, then it's going to be a really, really, really strong confirmation on the week of this mega cup and handle, in my opinion. And then the target is to add another trillion to the market without BTC, right? So that would be amazing. We don't have confirmation yet, okay? So let's keep it just on that. Let's look at the altcoins. The altcoins collectively are backtesting, as we saw on Total 2, right? And by the way, guys, I've almost forgot. We before we do that, before we go to altcoins, we welcome the chat here, especially the rare hodlers. Make sure to smash up the like button right now. Once more, if you haven't yet, and so on. Smash the like. Invite more people into the stream. Mewtwo, good morning, fam. Trucking Hand, good morning. Hoping for a great week. Green Lantern is also here. GM Boys driving. And I welcome each and everyone else. And with that, back to the charts. Penguin says, when will the market go completely crazy? Very, very likely, depending on all we know, only with October, beginning of October, as we do know that September is traditionally a really bad month. So I would expect only with October the market to really go crazy. Everything else would be anticipated. If you can't stand what's happening right now because your coins are like down 10% or so again, then it's good maybe to go offline for like 1 week or a little bit more and then come back in October, right? That might do the trick. We do have JW also here. Good morning. We do have Protagonist saying a zero seems to have a comeback. Is that so? Wait a second. Wasn't that here like A0? Wasn't that the coin? It's why doesn't it? Maybe it's not in the top 1,000 because this only displays the top 1,000. Let's quickly check. By the way, we talked about this here. This is injective, right? We talked about this. This is a problem, right? I mean, we said, okay, hey, here is the. We've even given specific targets, right? Of this, we want to see this break out. Right now, unconfirmed yet also, it's breaking down. So I'd say this is the last stance here, right? That level here. Something like, yeah, that level, last stance for injective, to not turn into really bad pattern, right? So for injective, there was someone who said has like huge leverage injective trades. So this is the level to watch in my opinion. But the person had a stop loss, a nice stop loss in big profit. So that is fine. Quickly looking at the Aleph Zero, right? That was it. Yeah, I don't know about the big comeback, to be honest, as this seems to be the chart. I mean, there is a wick into this, basically a wick that poises a short-term high here, but to call this a turnaround may be premature, right? I mean, you're basically sitting close to all-time lows, right? Of course, have you bought the absolute bottom, then you might be in some profits, as from this bottom up to here you are 50% up right now. But to call this a big turnaround, I don't know yet. More remains to be seen, right? Quick look at Ecomi. Still in the same limbo right now, or in the same consolidation, whatever, sideways, but really nice. It's holding support on a higher level than previously. This overall level is holding very well, right? So for Ecomi, not too bad, right? Not too bad. Did we, with this, turn the bearish trend? I mean, it seems like the bull market support band has been really and decisively flipped only now. Can we maybe look at this on the weekly here, right? I mean, it's cluttered up with so many things. Maybe I have to clean this up one day. But yeah, we do see that we are holding this level. It looks really good, and now we want to get, conquer the next level. Can that happen? We will see, right? But this looks more like, you could even argue that's like some kind of a bull flag or so on the weekly. Let's see here. Would be good to stay above this, let's say, bull market support band for OMI as well. Get some more liquidity again. Just as on this breakout, that would be amazing. When DevvE news, they are so silent. Yeah, exactly. What's going on with DevvE? Oops. Good question. DevvE. USDT. Creeping around support, I would say. All right. Nothing. Basically nothing new, and it's also why we didn't talk about it. I mean, we can check out on X. DevvE. If there's anything bigger news for DevvE, we do see the last post is 4 days ago. 127 billion of DeFi lending has taken place so far in 2025, with over 68 billion locked in lending protocols. So they made a thread here, update thread basically, Your keys, your asset. The downfall of exchanges like FTX showed us one thing: counterparty risk. Layer 1 blockchain set to grow from 57 billion to 1.4 trillion by 2030. DevvE offers infinite TPS, ISO green certification, a clear regulatory roadmap, which is good, right? I mean, they're still there, but maybe they're waiting for October with the news. So yeah, that would be basically it. Let's look at Aleph Zero. Why don't they? Is this the real account? Yeah, it must be 200,000 followers. Why don't they have a company seal? I mean, if you want to look like this, like Aptos and so on, right? Why don't they do this? And by the way, right, this is what I'm covering A0 because we have protagonists here, for example, like we have some people here that ask for this. I personally think these are all really bad signs. Like, for example, this guy or the channel posted silence does not mean nothing's happening. Sometimes it's all you hear before the storm. That's a nice teaser, but then since 19 days, it's silence, right? And the question is it necessary to be silent on your social media? It's not. It's clearly not. You can post once per week or something like that, right? So that just as an example. I think some of the altcoin projects that we also covered, they died completely. I mean, you can't find even more, like Bumper, for example, you can't even find their Twitter anymore. So probably that's just dead, right? And I know that in the Ecomi circles, like many people were like bullish on Bumper. And then you have Metacade. By the way, Metacade also, like they need to put official, like this company seal, like Floki down here. Yeah, once per day at the minimum would be best. I know that some projects are really run really lean. But for example, this is good, right? I think all the criticism that we did on Ecomi, for example, was fruitful. Here we do see, right? They are posting like almost every day. Yeah, 13 hours ago and so on. So MK is posting almost every day. If you look at Ecomi now, which is basically run by, I'd say there are maximum like 2 to 3 people on the Ecomi social media, which of course there's much more behind that. But here we do see now, okay, they're retweeting stuff from the fam with the burns. By the way, we do have September 21st, 1.2, roughly 2 million OMI burned in 159 transactions, 80.5 million stacker burn. So closing in on the 100 million burn, which is good, right? Not too bad. And then stuff like this, right? The direction for OMI is clear. Like posting AI-generated memes. Can it be so hard? The community just wants to see that you are there. You get engagement, right? I mean, look at this, right? This, let's say, stupid post with the directions clear and the circle into the sun, right? Where we are going, we don't need roads, right? And so on. 6,000 views, 255 likes, 40 retweets, and so on, right? So this is something every crypto project can do. If they don't do that, serious questions need to be asked, right? And it's okay if they don't do it in a bear market quite extensively, but there needs to be something, right? And then you see here, we are 2/3 of the way through inaugural monthly leaderboard rewards, like talking about the leaderboard rewards, talking about what you're doing. Then here, these memes, right? They don't know OMI powers where the world collects, blah, blah, right? So maybe you find it stupid, maybe not, but you have to do this stuff, right? And I think, or you have like Vechain, something to talk about anyways, because like your business is cited everywhere, right? by the or you're working with influencers like here AJ Writes Crypto, who is continuously covering Vechain and so on, right? That they formed a partnership with this guy. One, by the way, since we mentioned BitBoy Crypto, he worked with BitBoy Crypto a while ago. But anyways, like this is the stuff that you want to cover, right? 3 days until Vechain Global Hackathon, 30K prize pool and so on. They do hackathons. And by the way, the same thing, like you can announce the same thing like 3 times over the course of 1 or 2 days by first posting yourself, then someone covers it and you retweet that person, right? So of course, if you're bigger, then you have it easier with that. Then they have all the UFC stuff here on Vechain, right? Are you ready for the Vechain Global Hackathon? See, right? They do exactly that. So the Vechain builders, they call for the hackathon, then Vechain retweets it, then someone else talks about it, right? V-Founder program, digital product passports are key to the EU's digital economy, with ESPR regs mandating transparency and traceability for products powered by blockchain. We are proud to see wolflabs.com team continuing their success on this front, blah, blah, right? So very good digital passport for products, showing that regulation requires your business, basically gives you legitimacy and so on, right? So I think that's all great. Guys, as I mentioned before, today, it's a short stream, so I already have to jump, but guys, do me a favor, smash up the like button right now, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, notifications on so you never miss out when I go live or make a video, and wherever you are on the world, have a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon. Enjoy your coffees, and I see you very, very soon in the next Crypto Morning Coffee. Have a good one, and bye.